welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope that if you're liking my content, you would happily subscribe and of course like the video. So I'm talking today about how to become a psychic medium. And this isn't really the type of job, is it, that when you're at school and your teacher asks you what are your aspirations at the future, you're going to stick your hand up and say, yes sir, I want to be a psychic, or I want to talk to the spirit world. Because ultimately it's a bit weird. People will judge. You will get a lot of negative comments. You'll get some amazing feedback from people that are on your same wavelength and are interested in this kind of thing. But on the whole, I would say, even if you're super genuine, you're amazing, and you bring forward loads of evidence, you're going to get thought of as a little bit out there when you tell people that you're a psychic medium. It is just from personal experience, it is what happens. But what if you're watching this video and you've had all of the signs and you've got all of the abilities happening that make you feel like you are somebody that should be doing this work? So the good news is it's a super fulfilling and heartwarming job at the best of times, because you get to reconnect people with their loved ones in the spirit world. You get to help people that are not always in a good place. And I think that most of us, if we could be told the future, would certainly be interested in finding out some details. And I believe that if you're somebody that has this gift, that you need to be somebody that's genuine and really wanting to do this work. Because number one, you feel pushed. Because the spirit world, they will push you if they want you to be an ambassador for them, and they want you to spread their word and show that spirit lives on and give evidence and proof of survival that we are more than just this physical form. Then you will be pushed in every direction to make this more of a job, if you like. And number two, you certainly, shouldn't be coming into this work for monetary reasons or ego reasons, or I'm going to be a psychic medium because I see psychics that make it onto the big screen and seem to be earning the big bucks. But yeah, it's not really about the money. It's more about the desire to help people. It's more about the need to connect people to their inner selves and help them to be put on the right path forward. So in order for you to understand if this is something that you should be doing or could be doing, then I'm going to give you a little bit of information about how I came into this line of work, let's say. For me, it's work, yes, this is my job, but it's me. It is who I am. So my job is me. So when I was a little girl, I saw spirit. I saw them, I heard them. I had a very open ability with the spirit world. I have many memories of being at my nan's house, and my nan lived in a house that had this attic room that she made as a bedroom for me. And there was this man that used to come and be near the bed, and I was maybe 3 years old, and he just used to scare me, so I didn't like sleeping in that room. So instead my nan would take me into bed with her, and she had this big room that had double doors at the end, and there was a rocking chair by the double doors. And obviously, because I was with my nan, I didn't mind so much, I wasn't scared. But there was a lady that would always sit in the rocking chair, and she would always just smile at me. She wasn't a threatening or kind of imposing spirit. She was just there, always rocking away in the chair. And my nan used to love telling me, ghost stories. And I think this whole kind of ability developed because I was in that energy so often. I would look to the spirit world, maybe subconsciously without realizing, to give me the answers. So, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, a lot of them passed away when I was quite young. And I remember one that I was particularly close to passed over, and then I remember in my head just talking to them and hearing their voice back, as a reply. And it never really occurred to me that that wasn't normal. So yeah, it was just very natural to be able to talk to spirit and natural to be able to see them. And then of course you grow up and it's a bit weird, isn't it? You don't want to be the one to say, oh, do you see people in your bedroom at night? Because you're just putting yourself, when you're a teenager, in that awkward kind of place. But as for the psychic energy, that was something that was always super strong in me. I've not really ever had to work on my intuition or had to consciously develop it too much, because I would always just look at friends, or the teacher would say something and I would in my head think, no, that's not right, or no, that's not going to happen, or we're not going to do that today because something's going to change. It was very much an awareness that I didn't question. I thought everyone does this. I thought everyone just knows. And I was very much one of these that didn't really like to work in teams. I still am. I'm just not a team player. Not because I don't like people, but it's just the energy of being around too many people. I get overwhelmed. I feel a bit sensitive to other people's emotions, and if there's one overly excited person in a group, then generally that drains me. So it just depends on who I'm with and whether those people fit with my energy. So I have to be very mindful not to be in crowds. So all of these things that I'm giving examples of from my own experience, if they relate to you and you are similar, you're somebody that just knows things without knowing how you know things, if you've always had an openness to the spirit world, even if you've closed that door now and you've kind of pushed them away, it doesn't matter. As long as the door has been open in the past, you can work with that. And also if you're very sensitive to people's emotions. So how do you go from that point of having all of those, let's say, abilities to then working with it? And for me, it was, well, I don't really share this story often, but I was going through a tough time in my life. I'm condensing everything down here very quickly to get my point across. I woke up in the middle of the night one night, and my nan, who was in the spirit world, was stood at the bottom of my bed. And my nan, she had alopecia in life, and she didn't have really much hair, and she used to wear a wig. And I just remember her, clear as day, it was her voice saying to me, I almost lost my bloody hair trying to get here to talk to you. And I just remember bursting out laughing, because I woke up, there's Nan, and then she makes this joke, and then I laugh, and then the reality hits me of, oh my God, this is Nan stood at the end of my bed. And then as much as there was elation and all of these emotions of love and overwhelm, there was also fear, because at that same moment, there was this, what I can only describe as like a bolt of blue, which I now understand was most likely my guides. But it was as if that moment was the defining moment when they decided, they as in the spirit world and my guides and my team who work with me, the universe, whatever words you want to call all of it, it was as if that was the moment they decided, yeah, we're going to switch it on now, and she's not going to be able to switch it off. So Nan appeared, all of that happened, and then the fear struck me, because in that very same moment, it was as if this switch had been flipped, and then I could hear, see, know everything to do with the spirit world. So I had thousands of people's voices in my mind, and then from that moment I would see flashes of faces and arms and legs and cats and dogs, and yeah, it just was a very crazy evening that evening. So the rest of the night I was pretty much awake, thinking that I'd absolutely lost the plot. So the next day I did what you do when you're 22 and you think you're having a psychological or mental breakdown. I went on the internet and I googled how to stop the voices in my head. Now bear in mind, I've just told you that I was up until that point familiar with spirits, but there was a big difference between seeing, one spirit every other day to suddenly hearing everybody talking at once. And I couldn't switch it off. I did not have a clue. And all I would say is I found a forum that helped me absolutely, just made everything so much clearer. And I will be forever indebted to the people on that forum that helped me to not lose my marbles. So I'm talking about, you know, psychic medium as a career choice here, but in my instance, and I think in most instances where you come across genuine psychic mediums or genuine mediums, I think that most of those wouldn't have ever thought that they'd end up doing this work. Certainly that's the situation for myself. I used to work in the City of London, and then I worked in Switzerland, and it was all office-y based work. And yeah, I can't say that that was the fulfilling job of my dreams, all of those types of roles. But if someone has said to me, you know, when I left school, oh, you're going to be a psychic or you're going to be a medium, I would have laughed. I would have said, no way. Because yeah, it sounds nuts. And that is the long and short of it. It's one of those things that just sounds a bit out there. Simple as that, really. So you really need an open awareness to energy. You need a connection to the spirit world. You need to be familiar with how energy works. You need to understand how to read energy. And the main fundamentals of doing this work is that you want to help people. Now, that for me is the most important point. I obviously went through this huge transformation where something just switched on. The spirit world really did just really put me through my paces and pretty much told me that this is what you're going to have to learn to incorporate as part of who you are. And it's who I am. So if you're watching this and it is who you are and it's the biggest part of you, then chances are you are supposed to be doing this work. Now, the other side of it is you might find yourself in the situation where you've got all of your abilities that are really strong and you are feeling like you really want to help people, but you don't know where to start. And I believe that if you're supposed to do this work, if spirit are pushing you to do this work, they will send you the opportunities. So when I first started out, I was still working in office-based work, and I just had been basically practicing how to control my abilities. I'd gone to so many different courses with very reputable mediums and really, you know, the renowned mediums and the best places that you can go to do training. And I basically just said to my friends and family, oh, I'm going to start, you know, just offering readings for free, no charge. Just to see if I can help people. And of course, one thing led to another, and I started to get a lot of requests. And I remember putting a post on a forum, free readings, and I had, you know, tens of requests. And I did them all, and all of the feedback was, wow, you know, this is kind of spot on, and thank you for this connection, and blah, blah, blah. And it just made me feel really fulfilled, because during the day I was doing this office job that was ultimately not really that important in the grand scheme of things. And then these people that I was connecting with that I didn't know from Adam, you know, it was just these forum names of, you know, 123 XYZ. So I didn't know if they were even a man or woman sometimes. And just to be able to connect them with their mothers or their sisters, or just to really look into their life situation and see what might be happening for them and what might come forward. It felt like an honor to be able to impart that information. But here's the thing that I learned pretty quickly. You have to be very careful in how you deliver a message. So I think there comes a great responsibility with doing this work, in the sense of people are trusting you to look into their energy, basically opening up all of themselves. And that means that you might be able to see, you know, a lot of things that maybe others around them aren't even aware of, and a lot of parts of them that they might not even be comfortable with exposing to themselves, let alone to you. So even if you're seeing circumstances that might not be the most positive, but there might be a person that's going through a really hard time, they might have lost a loved one, or they might have gone through a breakup, and there's a way of delivering a message to tell them if something might be getting harder or there's a way of delivering a message to prepare them for things. But you must be very mindful of the person that you're talking to and how they might receive that. So I would always say the delivery of the message is really important as well. So if you've got the ability, you feel pushed by spirit to take this forward, you've opened yourself up and said, okay, send me the opportunities, and then you've worked on how you're going to deliver the messages, what next? And I think this is the part that is actually one of the hardest parts, and that is just trusting that this is the right path for you, because this work comes with a really big sense of responsibility. You know, you are somebody that ultimately is telling people what might happen in their lives, ultimately connecting people to the people they hold dearest to their hearts that have passed on. And that is something that shouldn't be taken lightly. I think you need to really love this work and really have a deep desire to help and to heal, because if it's not coming from a place of genuine wanting the best for the person that you're reading for, I just think that's a disservice to the person and their energy, and also to spirit. So yeah, it's a work that I believe a lot more people could be doing than currently do, and I also believe it is something that takes a certain type of person, because you will face critics, you will face people that absolutely think you are the devil in disguise and taking advantage of vulnerable people. And you know, I'm never gonna say that people shouldn't have their view. If someone is really skeptical of what I do, then that is their path here. There isn't anything I'm going to be able to do to change that. I actually did a reading once for 4 ladies individually, but they had arrived together at my house. And the first 3 ladies, I did their connections, each one, while the rest waited on the or outside of the room. And they were all happy, and they went away, each going out of the room. Generally, they were satisfied. And then the last lady, she came into the room, and I could just tell by the way she looked at me before I'd even began talking that she's not into this. She's been brought here today kind of against her own wishes and sort of, you know, dragged into coming to see a psychic. So she sat down and I started reading for her. And when I do a reading, I don't look at the person because I'm kind of in this trance energy, which is a whole different thing. I'm not really aware of what the person's doing or what they're saying. But all I remember is that out of the corner of my eye, I could just see this head being, oh, no, like this. And so I stopped and I said, I'm sorry, is this not making any sense for you? And you're not connecting to this? And this lady said, no, I don't think that I think this is all a load of rubbish. And at that exact moment that she said it, and until that point, I'd been looking at the psychic part of her life, so reading her energy. And at that moment that she said it, I just had her mum in the spirit world stood completely clearly beside her. She just appeared beside this lady. And I just looked at this lady, and this lady said, I came here today to get my mother and to hope that maybe my mum would come, and rah. And she just ranted at me. And I just let her rant. And then I said to her, I have your mother stood next to you. And I remember her mum said, tell her my name. The mother's name was a very unique name. It was not a type of name that you'd ever hear on a day-to-day basis. And the mum told me the name. And I just said to this lady, this name is here. And her face, it fell, and she said, that's my mum. And I passed the message of what her mum had come to say. And she was white. I could tell that there was this big internal battle as to everything she'd just said to me versus everything I just in that particular few minutes said to her. And I just feel that you have to be ready for situations where there are going to be people that aren't happy with what you do, and there are going to be people that doubt, that come, that want proof beyond proof beyond proof. So you need to be on your best game as much as possible, and really to just trust that Spirit are going to show up for you every time that you sit down and you get into that energy to work for that person's best interests, that you are then that voice of the spirit world. And as long as you're willing to be their voice, they will be there to talk through you. So if you're somebody that is hoping to take this work a step further, hopefully I've given you some food for thought today, and there's some information there that you'll be able to resonate with and apply to your own journey forward. And I wish you all the best with this journey. It's certainly an interesting one, and it's one that never stops developing and never stops changing. If you did enjoy this video today, please do give it a like.